want to welcome you guys back to the podcast, How to Play the Game of College. This is season 3, believe it or not. We are rolling with these seasons, and I'm really excited about this season. By now, you should know the theme. The theme of this season is called Keeping It Real About College. And so I'm super excited to have the guest here today. She's like family. She's a friend, Dr. Toneyce Randolph. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. First week of school, just getting in here and getting it started.
Yes, getting the students going. And again, I'm super excited to have you on. I was at Morris Brown. I got my t-shirt. I'm representing today. I had the pleasure of being in Morris Brown for the new student orientation week. And I'm still just on a high from the great students that you all had, from your incoming freshman students, students that are returning, your student leaders. I had a ball. So again, excited for the audience to get to know you, how you got to this point. A lot of times we see the titles, right? Dr. Boyd, Dr. Randolph, but not really knowing the journey that it took to actually get to this point. So with that being said, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I feel like you wear many different hats. And so if you can, just tell us a little bit about your work, actually, and the work that you do at Morris Brown.
So, hello, everyone. Again, thank you, Dr. Boyd, for having me on this podcast. I'm truly honored. Native Memphian. And so, Dr. Toneyce Randolph, Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs at the Morris Brown College in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, in the AUC. And my role in academics really stemmed from 2007 up until now. And so I started out as an assistant registrar, went into the admissions portion of higher ed, left the admissions arena, went over to teaching and learning in academic affairs, and really worked my way up from an associate dean position that I got in 2018. And here I am in 2024. I am the provost of a college, a four-year college. And so truly excited about all things academics and being student-centered and focused as an academic leader.
That's great to hear it. Again, I know we go way back with our one-on-one days. And so just excited to have you on the podcast. So as you told us your many roles in your career, right, throughout the years from 2007 on up to now. Who is Toneyce Randolph outside of work? Like, what do you like to do outside of just what you do? Yes.
Oh, wow. So, believe it or not, I'm a comedian, I think.
You are funny at times.
I love to cook. I love music. I teach a hip-hop class. It actually begins this evening. All the students are excited about it. And so they like to get a little ratchet every now.
Got to mix it up. Yes.
Absolutely. And then there's this nerd side of me that love to watch documentaries, and I love history and all things related to who we are as people and how we have gotten to this place. I love to shop, of course, and I love to travel.
Got you. Again, you're saying some really great things. I feel like I got so many questions I want to ask you in this short amount of time. I think the main one, because you're coming from the academic side of the house when we look at the college world, right? And a lot of students struggle with, I put in my book, how to select a major, right? I think that's the number one question. You know, students, they get to college, you have all these majors, you have these minors, you have all these offerings and programs. What advice would you give to a new student, that's maybe transitioning from high school to college about selecting the correct major?
Following your passion.
Okay.
Not necessarily going towards those degrees in which you would think your parents would like for you to be a doctor, an attorney. I have adult children myself who two are in college now. My son is a freshman here at Morris Brown College, and so I'm excited about that. But just allowing yourself to choose what it is that you want to do in life. For instance, I've had a student who came out of college with a 4.0 GPA, very high ACT score, and the parent wanted that student to attempt going to law school, being an attorney.
Okay.
And so, but that student turned out to major in some type of production, music production.
Right. So something totally different. Yeah.
Something totally different, but that was that student's passion. And so it's important for students to go after those passions, but most importantly for parents to listen to their
Mm,
children
yeah,
because they're
yeah.
more likely to matriculate and finish if they're going after something that they desire to do.
Right, right. So true. And again, I feel like you saw my questions before, but I know you mentioned you have a student. I got the opportunity to meet your son who's starting out at Morris Brown as a new freshman. I guess keeping on the theme of parents, right? And they play a big part in the college journey. What type of advice would you give parents? I feel like you gave them a good preview of like, hey, let your kids follow their passion or purpose when it comes to majors. Any other advice that you would maybe provide to parents in their support role when it comes to their students in college?
Supporting your son or daughter. And the rationale for that is we have to understand as parents that they're embarking on a new journey
Okay.
and they are allowed to make mistakes. They're allowed to grow.
Yeah.
And that next phase in college is a different set of identifying with who they are
So
and
true.
what groups they belong in. You have certain groups in high school, but then there are certain groups in college. You got sororities, you have fraternities, you have different
Mhm.
clubs and organizations. You have those who are into the political arenas. And
Right.
so it's just really supporting your child in their growth
So
because
true.
they will become a totally different person. I
Mhm.
had a student here, Morris Brown, that stopped me last semester and he said, I'm about to go home. I live in California. Really sharp young man. He said, my mother doesn't know I have these 3 tattoos. I just got them.
Okay.
And I said, well, do you think you want to tell him before you walk through the door?
Right. Right.
He's like, no, 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 I can't tell my mom. He was terrified.
Wow.
And so it's not only about meeting your child as it relates to the academic space, but the social space.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to support them in that social space and where they want to go, as long
Right.
as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical.
So
You
true.
have to support your children in all arenas for them to be successful at this.
Right, right. I couldn't agree more. My mom was that person. And I tell parents all the time, it's not a cutoff. It should be an elevation of support, right? And so I remember my mom sometimes coming to homecoming games. And when I crossed my fraternity, my mom was in the front row with my son is a Kappa t-shirt type of deal. So again, I think it's just a different level of support, but in a role advising more. So it shouldn't be like you said, hey, you should major in this particular field, because that's something you wanted to do. Knowing that your kids, they're different, giving your kids their grace, their freedom in order for them to grow into the person that they want to be. So I think that advice that you just gave is so very, very important. Yes. So I guess like now we want to talk about, the types of colleges, right? And so I think college fit is huge when we look at students in their journey of completing college, and completing a degree. You work at an HBCU, and I feel like you have worked at many HBCUs. And so when we talk about the different types of colleges, what about HBCUs should, maybe students consider or maybe even add on their list when they're looking at different colleges?
Well, I think it's important to find fit. And when I say that, I bleed HBCU. My dissertation was on the viability of historically Black colleges and universities. I did a case study.
Okay.
And so in that case study, I found our areas of opportunities as it relates to an HBCU, but also what value we have and why we're still here today and why we will remain here in this space and
Right.
post-secondary education.
Okay.
But I think it's important for parents because we can be guilty of this. We want our children to go to an HBCU.
Hmm.
My older children, they have been in the HBCU space.
Okay.
I have a daughter now that is at Clinton College in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Okay.
Uh, I have a son here at Morris Brown College. But my oldest son, he was at Lemoyne when I worked at Lemoyne on college, my alma mater, and I was so proud to have him there.
Right.
But if I must be transparent,
Yeah. Yeah.
he wasn't the fit.
Mm.
Um, just
Yeah.
knowing the personality of who he is and how diverse in his thinking and ways,
Right.
it wasn't a good fit for him.
Okay.
And it posed some challenges in degree completion for him. And so
Mhm.
we must listen to our children. Yeah, we
Yeah.
want them to bleed with MTSU. We want them to bleed whatever it is that
Yeah. Yeah.
we've gone to. I'm sure, Dr. Boyd, you are preaching MTSU to your children.
More like the HBCU route, but you could continue.
Right. But you understand
Yeah.
some diehard Aggie fans out here.
Yeah.
Their children, it's like a generational thing for families.
Yeah.
Jackson State, you are a tiger. This is where you go. But we have to, as parents, look at our children, really
Right.
assess who they are and listen to them. Take them to a variety of college. Now, colleges. Now, I'm about to say something that may not be popular,
Okay.
but I'm about to say it.
Say it.
There are some students and some children that we know may not be cut out for the 4 years.
So true.
Maybe they need that practical, hands-on learning environment.
Right.
And I think it's important if you have that child, you need to tap into that. You know, I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding for-profit institutions and then your traditional models of education. And I've worked in both sectors. And I must say that I've seen some high achievements in that practical learning space, also in that 4-year college and university space.
Gotcha.
It's important to know who your child is.
Yeah.
You do the options and not feel compelled to go after your dream.
So true. So true. Yes. And again, the theme of this season is keeping it real. And I love how you're saying, like, hey, I work at HBCU, I bleed HBCU, you know, but it's not for everyone, right? And so, again, I actually start off the book talking about college fit because I feel like if you have that platform and you get that part right, it just sets you up for success. And so, you know, if it's a community college, you know, if it's a 4-year, if it's a HBCU, whatever the case is, you know, the big piece of advice would be to get out and tour, you know, ask some folks that's there, their opinion, their thoughts. You're listening to Dr. Randolph about her thoughts, right? And so those things are very important when we're trying to help our students get the correct college fit. Yes, very, very important.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so another question, and I'm asking questions that I get all the time, right? I'm actually I'm travel a lot, especially when we look at our high school students that are going to college, right? And I've been in my fraternity now for 22 years. The gray hair is showing up here. And I know, Dr. Randolph, you're a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And how long have you been in your sorority?
19 years.
Okay,
So you're embarking on the 20 year.
Yeah. So a big question we get from students, right? And of course, a big appeal, right? When they go to college, hey, I want to pledge, right? What advice would you give to a student, especially when we talk about like our first gen students? They don't know, AKA from, you know, SG Row, right? They just know it's a sorority. What type of advice would you give if they're interested in trying to maybe join a D9 organization?
To choose the first and the final.
So choose the first and the best. No. So we can stop it right there. Stop it right there.
No, on a serious note, it goes back to fit.
Okay.
Me and my daughter, we have this conversation all the time.
Okay.
And believe it or not, she wants to be a Delta. So,
it's a hard drop a little bit.
Well, you know, let me say this. I'm not one of those parents.
Okay.
I'm one that go after whatever you want to go after.
Okay.
As long as it's positive.
Yeah.
Be part of something. Contribute to something.
Right.
Know the meaning behind what you're doing. Get an understanding. Don't be a t-shirt wearer if that's what you decide you're going to do. How is this going to benefit you in the long run? How do you plan on it benefiting you in the long run? Those are the things that I'm looking at. I'm happy if any of my children join an organization, but it's, again, everything is about fit.
So true.
What fits you? It seems to be that HBCUs fit me.
Right.
To work. I mean, this is where I've done my greatest work.
Got you.
In the HBCU space. It's all about fit.
Got you. And so I see we have a theme here, like you're saying, it's about fit pretty much with anything in life, right? It's about fit, what works best for you, and not just doing what the majority is doing. And sometimes that's the case with a lot of our students. This has been great. We're coming towards the end, but I want you to talk to their students, especially our new students that are now, you know, just getting to colleges. What are some of those common pitfalls that you see when we have new students entering the college space? I like to call it, you know, the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's the honeymoon stage, right? Everybody's excited. They got their t-shirts on every day. They're going to class on time. They're not late. They're doing their homework, but that soon it wears off, right? What type of pitfalls do you see that students, maybe fall into and they maybe stop out of college or they're not successful in that space? Can you talk about a few of those?
Sense of belonging is one. That's a
Okay.
huge one. I guess I could say world renowned or researcher, Dr. Terrell Strayhorn.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
talks about sense of belonging. He
Mm,
studied this, and it's something that I take into consideration in everything that I do in life, actually.
okay.
But students who can't find where they belong
Mm,
tend to stop out. That's one of the things. The other thing would be time management.
okay.
Mama's not waking you up.
So true.
You got a class at this time, a class at this time, a class at that time, an activity at this time. Your friends want to go here. The AUC homecoming concerts are
Yeah.
amazing.
I think.
Homecomings are amazing.
Right, right.
So
So
just
you
get involved in the day to day.
got
But one of the biggest things
Okay.
of the students that I've seen matriculate through historically Black colleges and universities is finances.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to take care of themselves while they're in college,
Got you.
or not coming from a family with the resources to support them so they can just focus on their studies.
Got you. Got you. You dropped some major gems. And I guess on the flip side, I'm going to ask a quick follow-up question, right? When we talk about finances, which is huge in any college, right? College is expensive, right? And so, especially in 2024, when we sometimes question the value of college, I guess another question, a follow-up, if a student is deciding, between, hey, Amazon came to my high school, hey, I can go work there and make $16 an hour, right? I can overtime, I'm going to do this because I want to make this money now compared to, hey, let me delay that and maybe go to get some type of credential, not always a 4 year, it could be a 2 year, it could be a 1 year, whatever the case may be. What advice would you give to that student to say, hey, college is worth the wait, the value of your future, if that makes sense? Yeah, what advice would you give to that student?
A number of things. The
Okay.
first thing is no one can take what you have here.
So true. So true. Yes.
You can't take that from you. And as long as you have something here, you'll always be able to make money.
Got
As long
you.
as you know, you're
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Part of being successful is being able to operate in the rooms, meaning being able to converse with those who have the ways to give you the opportunity,
Got you.
right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so how you obtain that knowledge a lot of times is being educated.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't go wrong with educating yourself. Right now, I'm over academic affairs. I'm enrolled in a fundraising course right now. That's an area of opportunity for me. And
Yeah.
so I see that I want to know more about fundraising for institutions. What does that look like? And
Yeah.
see, once I gain that knowledge, no one can take that from me. And so
so true.
that's one piece of it. The
Yeah.
other piece is I give an example of a student who was getting
Yeah.
ready to drop out of college at the last school that I was. His message was, well, I'm going to go and work at the cosmetic place.
Okay.
And so the student was seeking a biology degree. And what I said to the student was, do you want to be the person passing the instruments, or do you want to be the person making the decisions for that business?
Man, so true. Yes.
Do you want to be the chemist, the
Mhm.
person who comes up with the formulas
Right.
for the product,
Mhm.
or do you want to be the person injecting the product?
Right. Right.
Who makes the money?
So true. So true. Yes. Great advice. And I love how you're saying, college is more than just getting a degree. It's all the things that you learn in college. I tell people now, being at MTSU and pledging a fraternity, we had to do budgets. You had to put on events. Like you said, you had to know how to deal with different types of people, right? And so you get so many soft skills in that space that just really prepare you to be that leader, like you said, in that next phase in your life. So yes, I couldn't agree more. Thank you for sharing that knowledge. The last question, Dr. Randolph, and you've been saying some great things. I feel like we need a part two, honestly. Yes, you've been saying some really great things. I guess just looking at your journey, sometimes I do that. I just wake up and be like, man, I've been through a lot, right? I've done a lot. What's that one piece of advice that you would give to any student, or if we talk about students, it could be even parents or just anybody in life that you like, hey, if you maybe do this one thing, you're gonna be successful, right? This is a lesson I may have to learn sometimes the hard way, but if I give you this piece of gem or this one gem, you're gonna be able to move to the next level. What is that one thing that you would tell students or parents?
To always make sure you understand what executive presence means.
Okay.
Having that sense authority when you walk in a room where people you command an audience, where people will listen to you because you're professional, you're polite, you're knowledgeable, and let's just be honest, you look the part.
Yeah.
It's a biased world.
Right.
And people judge you. And I don't care how many diversity statements that are across somebody's college website.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important for everyone to know, the student, the parent, that this is a judgmental world.
That's true.
And executive presence at all times is necessary.
Man. We could drop the mic right there. Dr. Randolph, thank you so much. A part of this season, I was super intentional about the guests that I had this season. And again, you share some major jewels. And when we talk about, being real about college, not all the fluff answers that I sometimes see this season 1 and season 2, right? And so again, you dropped some major jewels. But part of this season, the guests that I brought on, I really consider friends, family, folks that I admire, right? And so a lot of times people always say, well, how do you do what you do? It's folks like you, Dr. Randolph. So again, I want to give you your flowers on this call. I know we've been connected for years, right? And so just watching your growth from Lemoyne, just knowing some of the things that we've talked about over the years and now to this point. And I know this is not the end, right? And so you got many more things to do. So again, I just thank you for being an inspiration to me and just all that you do for so many students daily. I know sometimes in a day-to-day, right, you're doing emails, you're meeting, and sometimes we forget our why, right? But again, I saw when I was on the campus of Morris Brown and I mentioned your name, students just lit up, right? And so I know that you're doing what God assigned you to do. So keep doing what you're doing. And together, we're going to help make these students move to the next level. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And to the guests, we will have Dr. Randolph's her email, her LinkedIn. She's get the word out about the great folks that we have on this podcast. So again, if you have not gotten a book, I tried to put a book up here, Dr. Randolph, and your students at Morris Brown, you got yours. Okay, there you go. How to Play the Game of College, available on Amazon, my website. Make sure that you get a copy of this book. Guys, we will see you same time, same place for another dynamic interview. Thank you.
Thank you.